credit blasters are typically designed to look like an everyday object. For instance, this one is disguised as a simple key fob or garage door opener.
Since the bill validator was out in the open, the cheat needed to be hidden from surveillance. So Mr. D decided to bring in a partner.
If I was making $1,000 a day, I could just as easily make $2,000 a day if I had someone else. I wanted someone there to blocking out the video, so if they couldn't see me doing it on video, even if I did get arrested, I would eventually beat it in court.
The first time he used the blaster, Mr. D ripped off $300 worth of false credits in a matter of seconds.
I was so happy. I mean, this was the epitome of slot cheating. I could win 10 times more money in 10 times less time. And I could win just as much as I wanted to. So however greedy I wanted to be, that's how much money I could win.
For Vegas cheats like Mr. D, staying anonymous is priority one. But for a team of European grifters, making a splash with their scam was part of the thrill. Casinos spar with scam artists on gaming floors around the globe. In London's Piccadilly Theatre District, the glamorous Ritz Hotel and Casino was the site of another legendary heist. It happened at the roulette table. Alexis Conran, host of BBC's The Real Hustle, explains why cheating at roulette is such an attractive prospect.
Roulette's always been a very, very attractive game for cheaters because you can win and win big.
In English roulette, gamblers can bet on any of the wheel's 37 numbers, on sections of the wheel, on colors where the ball might land. Guess the right color, and you double your money. Guess the precise number where the ball lands, and it's a 35-to-1 payout. The Ritz Three, as they came to be known, were a team of 2 Serbian men and 1 Hungarian woman. The cheaters came prepared to bet big, and they brought a device that would guarantee a huge night at the table. Since the device was never made public, Alexis had to rely on sources at Scotland Yard for details.
Allegedly, it's a device that used laser technology that was hidden in a mobile phone or a PDA. This device was able to track the speed of the ball and the speed of the wheel and give a prediction as to where the ball would land.
For a computer to make the prediction, one teammate has to position the laser device above the wheel.
At least one person needs to be able to look into the tub, into the roulette wheel. You have to give that computer 5 bits of information in order to help it to make a prediction. That is the rotor speed, the ball speed, the exit position of the ball when it's leaving the track, the first point of contact on the moving part, the rotor, and where the ball lands.
Alexis speculates the computer predicted a specific number on the wheel a few seconds after the ball was thrown. That number would be relayed wirelessly from the phone to an earpiece.
16.
That information was then relayed to the rest of the team, and they were able to place bets on the layout, covering the specific number and several numbers either side.
Place your bets, please.
On their first night, they won £100,000.
16 bread even.
The next night, 1.2 million. That works out to about $2 million in 2 days.
You go in, you make sure it works, you win some good money, you go back the next day, try and push it a little harder. Maybe they pushed it a little bit too hard.
The Ritz Casino reviewed surveillance footage but didn't spot the laser device. Still, they were sure something was wrong, so they called on Scotland Yard to detain the 3 grifters and hold them for questioning. To date, details about this scam have never been made public, for obvious reasons.
Now, the reason we're not going to know exactly what they've done is because it's in no one's interest for that to be public knowledge. Scammers don't want people to know what they're doing. Casinos don't want people to know what scammers are doing to them.
Since England had no law against using computers in a UK casino, and because it didn't physically interfere with the game, the cheats were eventually freed and allowed to keep the money.
This way of cheating is everybody's dream. It's knowing an outcome before it happens. It's being able to guess the lottery numbers before they're drawn.
To make sure the same scam didn't happen to them, Nevada casinos lobbied to make using any electronic cheating device a felony, punishable by a $10,000 fine and up to 6 years in jail. But even in the States, you have to catch the cheat before you can prosecute. A well-trained surveillance team is the casino's first line of defense. Here at the Aria Casino, thousands of gamblers crowd the gaming floor on a busy night. Spotting the thief requires a trained eye.
In casino surveillance, it's important to have a lot of different backgrounds. What we have to have is guys who know craps, people who know roulette. The only way to do that is to have that experience out here in the pit.
A surveillance veteran, Ted Whiting was never satisfied with the older camera systems. Video feeds were often in black and white, with poor image quality. So even if a thief was captured on tape, defense attorneys could argue the identification wasn't conclusive.
Inconclusive. That was the first word I'd learned 16 years ago when I started in surveillance. The guy who's training me said, here's the most important thing you're going to learn, inconclusive. I hated that term because I don't ever want it to be inconclusive. I always want to bring every issue to resolution.
So when Ted was named surveillance director of the Aria, he brought in the best equipment and introduced a new camera, the 360. The camera provides operators a 360-degree field of view, capable of spotting and tracking a cheat across the gaming floor from one vantage point. If a cheat is caught in the act, the 360 camera can track his movements anywhere in the casino before he exits. Eventually, the cheat will have to pass through a choke point or narrow pathway in the casino, and that's where they can be nailed.
So if I catch you, we find out that you stole some money maybe in the poker room. We find out about it hours after the event occurs. We follow you out of there on a 360. At some point you pass my choke point camera, and then I have a perfect picture of your face.
Recently, Ted was able to use his arsenal of cameras to track an ATM thief. It started when a woman accidentally left her ATM card in the machine after a withdrawal. She reported it to security, and surveillance determined the time of the theft using the ATM camera feed. The 360 camera tracked the suspect across the floor, and within seconds, they ID'd their man. He was followed through the Aria until he reached a choke point at the exit. Ted now had an image of the thief's face, which he posted electronically to all MGM properties. The thief was caught the same day.
He was actually playing at a sister property. He was sitting at Bellagio, where they alerted their security department that this theft occurred at Aria, and he was picked up while he was sitting there. Video coverage is it. Without the coverage, all you have is I said you did it. So video coverage, we're never wrong because we don't have to be. The picture is worth 1,000 words, and an HD video is worth maybe 3,000.
Enter any casino on the Vegas Strip, and you'll always find plenty of action at the blackjack tables. That's because the rules of the game are relatively simple. Add face cards and number cards together to beat the dealer without going over 21. Your chance of winning the hand is 4 in 10, so the house always has the edge. But casino blackjack has a weakness, and gamblers have always tried to exploit it. The weakness? A finite number of cards in play. The way to exploit that? Count every card that's dealt.
My name's Josh Axelrad, and I used to be a professional card counter. Over the course of about 5 years of playing blackjack for a living, I took about $700,000 off the tables. When I first heard that there was this thing that you could do in a casino to genuinely win, my first thought was, that's what they're for. That's why they built Las Vegas, with this one thing. And it was like being handed the key to this entire city.
Josh Axelrad served as the controller of a card counting team. By using some very basic math, he could calculate the ideal time to bet big, counting the 312 cards in the 6-deck shoe.
Blackjack is beatable because of a coincidence, sort of intrinsic to the math of the game. You're trying to identify situations where those cards that you like, the player favorable cards, generally the 10s and face cards and aces, are greatly concentrated. And you do that by keeping what we call the running count, a running tally.
The running count comes from adding and subtracting values for each card dealt from the shoe. Low number cards, deuces through sixes, are +1. Face cards, 10s and aces, are -1. 7 through 9 cards are neutral. The higher the count goes, the more face cards are left in the shoe, giving the advantage to the player, not the dealer.
And when you get a big positive number, when your tally is a big fat plus number of some kind, it means that you've seen far too few of the good cards so far in the game. And what that means is that the remaining deck is unusually rich in those cards. So that's when you start raising your bet.
To keep a low profile, Josh relied on a big money teammate to make the large wagers. When Josh knew the count was in his favor, he put his drink in his left hand. That was the signal for the big player, or BP, to enter the game. Josh gave him the count by using his chips.
We would use chip signals to indicate how many of those units the BP was supposed to bet on each of two spots. And if we're using two different color chips, the higher denomination chip counts as 5 units, the smaller counts as 1.
Like bets, everybody.
The count determined the size of the bets.
When one of the BPs comes into a shoe, he's typically going to be betting between 2 hands of 500